I've been slowly doing my self-tapes more and more at my agent's office, and it's been so nice.
Where's your agent's office?
Well, that's the thing that sucks, but it's close to the theater. It's on Madison and like 20.
No, but are you what agency?
Gersh.
You know what? This is a new record. This is the earliest in the podcast. Russell has had to mention that he is with Gersh. Congratulations.
We're not recording it, are we?
No. We
are
no.
absolutely.
No.
Okay, great. Welcome to the downside. My name is Gianmarco Soresi.
Okay.
I'm here with my co-host, who, if you haven't heard the news, then you haven't spoken to him in person.
Fuck you.
Russell Daniels, how you doing, Russell?
I'm good.
And we are here with our fantastic guest. So happy to have you. I haven't seen you in so long.
Oh my God.
I want to make sure I get your last name right. Ryan Haddad?
Haddad.
I apologize.
No, I'm grateful that you asked. The Haddad family has been in Cleveland, Ohio for 100 years going from Lebanon and Syria. So that is why it's Haddad and not anything that sounds remotely like it would be pronounced in Lebanon. Yeah. And I'm not even going to attempt what those might be.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know.
I would just want to bring up real quick, when you came in here, you asked Russell if he was gay. And Russell, it's not. Listen, you're not at fault.
Only because I wanted to know, like, if I was we're speaking freely for 90 minutes, like, if I qualified you both as straight white men, if that would be unfair.
No, yeah.
Okay.
Sure. You can talk down to us the whole.
I don't want to. I don't mean to. I don't mean to say that.
But now you said, unfortunately, is that your typical response? I'm just curious.
No, I think maybe because I'm in Titanic.
Sorry, you said, are you gay? Russell said, are you straight? You said, unfortunately.
I'm a little apologetic because I'm in Titanic, I think.
It's not because I'm gay. So if a straight guest had asked you that, you wouldn't have had a different answer?
Did you say, are you gay or are you straight?
I think I said, are you straight?
Yeah, I said yes, unfortunately. And I think it's because we were talking about Titanic. So I feel a little bit of guilt around that.
No,
sure.
I wanted
to
to say that I have not seen Titanic yet, and people have been telling me since last summer that I needed to get my ass over there. I feel like it's in a more accessible space now than it was.
It is, yes.
So I'm excited to be going to that, and but I'm certain that the gay fans of Titanic are fans of you.
They are. No,
because
everyone's been lovely, and the cast loves me. It's a great thing. I think I just it's a slight thing in the back of my head.
It just reminded me. I probably have said this once before. When I was catering here in New York, I just did it a couple times, but I pretend that I did it for a decade.
Yeah.
I catered with some guy. We went out to pizza after this catering gig. And he stole a bottle of champagne, as we should have. And I remember he certainly didn't come off. I wasn't sure if he was straight or gay. I probably assumed he was straight at the time. And at the end of the meal, he was like, "You're really cute. Would you like to go to a museum sometime?" And I said, "I'm so sorry. So flattered. I'm straight. I wish I was gay." And he was like, "You wish you were gay?" And I was like, "Oh, I just."
Right.
Just to avoid the uncomfortableness of this moment. That's what I meant. I don't know what I was saying. But it was like clear to him that like something about it offended him. This was a long time ago. It was 2011. We all had like 2012.
Yeah.
But I remember I tried to do a thing where I was like, oh, I wish.
Yeah.
Oh, I wish.
Yeah.
When I should have been like, even if I was, I don't think I'd go on a date with you.
That's what you should have said.
The truth.
I wonder, because the undertone of "I wish I was gay" might have had the opposite meaning. Could have had the opposite meaning of like, "Oh, you're really wonderful and charming." And
that's what I was trying.
I like to imagine him in his mind. He stole a bottle of champagne for the two of you to share, and you had no idea until that moment. He invited
we were
you
at a dollar pizza place. This is a cheap ass date. But that could have been the truth. That'd probably be more truthful. I'd be like, I could be on the fence, but you're not pushing it over.
Yeah.
I met you, I think, in 2016, and I've been wishing you were gay ever since. So
What did you guys meet doing?
We did like an open mic-ish thing, but there was no microphone.
Like a theater open mic.
It was a theater open mic. It was. That's how I felt. But Gianmarco is the best thing to come out of that for me. And it has been, not to like toot your horn, but a joy to watch your career sort of skyrocket in that time.
Well, thank you. That's very kind.
Unless it had already skyrocketed, and I was oblivious.
No, you saw me like right as I was like making the transition from like actor to one-person-y to just stand-up. So you were like right there when I was, and you were very kind and complimentative. And it was at a time where I think the people early on who were like, "You're good at this." It was a very nice time because that's when I really made a big decision to turn away down all the movie roles and TV roles and CBS Blue Bloods reporter number 2, which I'd go back to in a second. I'd leave this podcast to go do it right now.
Yeah.
Real quick,
those residuals pay.
They do. They come in frequently. I just gotta check for my. It's a terrible way to live. Like every time I'm spending too much money, I get a random email from my manager like, "Hey, $250 for Hustlers playing on Delta TV," and I'm like, "Oh, cool. This is my financial system." I just hope an email comes in, absolving me from everything.
That's right.
Let me just say real quick because we surely have some new listeners. I hope this is the downside. This is a place where me and Russell we have people on to let their negative flag fly, to express, to complain, to kvetch, to moan, to bitch. They don't have to be thankful. Sometimes people comment on these episodes. They're like, "Oh, Gianmarco, he's complaining about like a salad. He should be grateful." And I'm like, "That's not." But that's not what the show is.
No,
it was. They didn't have bread.
It's a gimmick. It's just a stick. You got to have a gimmick, as they say in Gypsy.
Yes. Do you know this, Gypsy?
I've seen it. I saw it a long time ago. I think I saw it with what's her name. She's big.
Oh no, there were 2 in a row that were big.
No, the
Patty
LuPone.
Okay, who was before? Let's see.
Who played it on Broadway before Patty?
She wasn't. I don't think she was right for it. If that's a good hint.
I think I know. I think
she's excellent, but.
Into the woods.
Yes.
Bernadette Peters.
Bernadette Peters. Yes. Very good. Very good.
This man is currently in a musical off Broadway.
Who was the original?
Oh, stop!
Come on.
Too much.
No, that's number 1
for Russell.
Who is the original?
Give me like
the original. Hint. She is the before Patty LuPone was Patty LuPone. She was the brass leading lady.
Like what?
The golden age. The golden age.
Oh, Ethel Merman.
There you go.
There we go.
All right, we have lost all the listeners. This is the downside. We're not a theater podcast, I promise.
Today you are.
Just so you guys know, real quick business. I've been working with a new YouTube agency, so they have ideas of things I need to be doing. But one thing is, look at the camera. Hey, you at home, please join the Patreon. Patreon.com/downside. For just $5 a month, you get bonus episodes like our live episode with Joshua Henry. Broadway's Joshua Henry.
Oh my God.
Exactly.
Am I invited?
Oh, it already happened.
Recorded it. Already happened.
Devastated.
But for just $5 a month, you can watch it. Yeah. And Jesus Christ, I'm just about to release. I recorded a clean album for SiriusXM. Not going to release it to the public because I need to maintain my sexy Jewish bad boy image. So if you want to listen to this clean album or watch it, it's going to be for free on the Patreon. Not free. You have to join the Patreon, $5 a month. Patreon.com/downside. Thanks for your enthusiasm, Russell.
I didn't know if I should look and make a plea or if I should look at your camera. I didn't know.
Russell gets half the Patreon, so let's see some enthusiasm. Can you say something negative to kick off this theme music? For
those who aren't watching, just listening, Gianmarco read that off of a yellow legal pad.
This is the downside.
1, 2, 3. Downside. You're listening to The Downside. The Downside. With Gianmarco Soresi.
Oh, God. I wanted to share a story before we go into your life and your shirt. I love it.
I wore this this is why I asked if you were straight. I remember now because I wanted to wear this like rainbowy shirt but in a straight pattern. I wanted to wear the rugby shirt for the 2 straight boys.
Yeah. It's a very Gianmarco shirt. It looks like you would wear it.
I
really, we walked
obsessed.
in and I was like, I think Gianmarco has that shirt.
I'm truly obsessed. No, I have a worse version, the thinner stripes. I don't like thin stripes. It looks too walled away.
Let's get another one, and then you and we'll be matching.
I can't wear
we
stripes.
Should make a movie. Okay, but tell the
Sure.
story.
Well, I'm thinking, let me think. Do we want to do this, the most embarrassing one? I guess I'm going to push through. I'm going to do this. I got a new laptop and, been waiting for a while to get this. I went to the Apple store and just didn't make an appointment, just went up. And I wanted to see what my old computer was. I wanted to make sure like there's been enough models that it's worth it to buy this new laptop.
Uh-huh.
And they go, oh, we can't, even if with the credit card, even with your email, Apple makes it impossible to find out what I bought at the store in the past, which is frustrating. Yeah. So I go, okay, I'll get out my laptop.
So you didn't have it with you?
No, I did. I had the old one with me. So I said, great, I'll open it. We'll look at the model number there. Now, do you know where the story is going?
No, I'm nervous though.
No. But I know exactly where you would find it if you were looking for it.
I pull out my laptop. It's in my backpack.
Oh my God, did you have porn?
I had porn.
As the most recent thing?
I wasn't in a place where I thought this laptop was coming out. I did it real fast. Boom, close it right away.
But they know.
So then what he said to me, I said, I'm sorry. And I did the thing where then I like open it like this. So I can like put my hand
Was
in
it
here.
volume? Yeah. Was volume on?
No, it wasn't playing. I wasn't like, I pause after I come. And
I know. I was imagining you just as an animal, just like fully opening it, just mid, slamming it as soon as you come.
And I open it and some drops fall off. So I immediately, I feel like the courtesy is you just pretend, we all pretend we didn't see it. But I was like, just sorry, 1 second. And he said, hey man, what are you sorry for? Human nature?
Oh, okay, wow.
He said, what are you sorry for? Being human?
That's beautiful.
And it made me go, how many times has this happened to every Apple employee in the entire world? Because it must be
2-3 times a week.
There's no way it's just me.
No.
There's no way it's just me.
No. And I'm numb to this story. You're like, this is the most embarrassing thing that's ever happened. And I'm going, what? Because first of all, I haven't watched porn on a laptop in probably 8 years.
You're a phone?
Phone.
Oh.
But because
we'll go into this.
But because I'm a phone person, it happens to me like 3 times a week. And hopefully it's like a friend and we can be like, haha. But like it's phone. And like if you don't deliberately close every window of every Russell is
Russell's like dying to go to his phone right
now.
No. Just so you guys know at home, whenever Russell is checking his phone, he is just looking at some porn in the middle of
No, I'm a computer porn person, not a phone porn person.
For this reason,
I've done
are
both.
you doing it? Do you do it on the computer?
I like the bigger
I have a
screen.
specific reason.
I like the bigger screen. I don't like
You go full screen.
Well, not all the time.
No,
but
that's weird.
But no, that's weird. That is weird. I like to. That feels out of control. I like. I don't know. I just like the laptop. But I do. What you're saying, I am so conscious of it because I take my laptop everywhere and I'm like doing the shows and stuff. And so I'm always, even if I know that I've used the laptop, I'm always slowly opening it like this because you just never know.
Suspicious every time you get on your laptop. You're like,
it's a terrifying feeling. It could happen.
Everyone knows why you're doing that. Everyone knows. Here's why I like computer, and this is like, I'm sure this is something horrible about me, but I will go on my website, and I will open like 5 tabs. Like 5 things I'm interested in seeing, and then
you like to have all of them like lined up.
Well, this
like
is the problem. This is
the
why I always
bell of
have
the ball.
fucking tabs.
Which one am I going to choose?
So it's just like 5, and I'm just like in my mind, it's as if I'm going to masturbate for like 30 minutes, and of course I go, okay, I'll start with this one, and
wait,
2 minutes
you line
later,
them up before?
They're just new tab, new tab, new tab.
Oh, okay.
So site, new tab, new tab, new tab, and then I go to one tab as if I'm going to do a sampling, but then the first tab I go, yeah, this will do. I never get to the other tabs. It's very infrequent. I'm still pretty. Once in a while, I'm like, not this one.
Yeah.
But
I do that same thing, but not with tabs. I basically will start one and be like, not these people.
Exactly.
And then I'll
and
switch.
skip. Yeah.
And then I go to another.
But then you got to watch the ad every time. When I do the tab system, I can start the ads. I can start the ads as I'm opening up the other ones. Get right past that.
Oh, my God.
Okay.
You're in a time crunch.
Okay.
There was a time when I first got into porn, when I was like a teenager, where I would open up I would have 4 playing at once in different screens. And then I said, this is an unsustainable sexual appetite. I'd be like making love to someone and be like, only one person here. I need someone there, someone there.
Too many worlds going on.
Wow.
Do you ever go like, I'm going to take a break from porn, like a long break?
Oh God. Oh my. This is a comedy podcast.
Yeah.
Okay.
But we can get it into
Yeah, I didn't know which direction he was going.
real
I
things.
was raised Syrian Orthodox Christian. And I have a relationship with God at this point in my life where I do pray when bad things are happening. But when good things are happening, I'm like, I'm good. I'm good. But if something really bad, so if somebody who is very close to me is very sick, I'll pray a lot and do all of that. And sometimes in my head, I'll go, my goodness, I think this is dark but funny. I don't think I've ever shared this anywhere before. And I don't want to say for who, because then they'll be like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
But if somebody is really sick, sometimes I'll go in my family or whatever. I'll think, well, the only way to save this person is if I stop masturbating. And that is some deep religious guilt that my dad caught me watching porn when I was a teenager, and now we can laugh about it, and it's a scene in one of my plays. But I was not raised to that level. We didn't go to church every Sunday. I don't know why that thought still enters my head.
Yeah.
In my early 30s, but I think so. A couple of years ago, at this point, we're in 2023. So 2 years ago, I did that, and I was like, I'm not gonna masturbate until I know
they're better,
until I know that this person is better or
dead.
Basically, and
that's gonna be some mixed news. And they go, we're so sorry, he didn't make it. I'll be right back.
Oh my God.
You're gonna have liquids coming out of both ends of your body.
I've gotta say, it worked. This time it worked. But okay, it worked in that person is still very much alive and healthy, and I'm grateful for that. But
it's almost worse that it worked.
But it did get to a point. No. It did get to a point that by the end of the 2 months, it wasn't the person was check mark, it's better now. I did sort of give in. And I sort of was
you said they're far enough along.
I sort of they have
I've done all I could do.
I basically had to reconcile that it wasn't gonna save this so I was just I did it for 2 months, and now it's up to the doctors.
2 months is a long
I wish you went to the doctors
time.
Doc, just so you know, on my end, I've
put in the work.
It's time for you to do your jobs.
2 months is a long time.
Be honest with me, and I really want you to answer this question deep in your soul.
Yeah.
If you found out that I would die if you masturbated, and I didn't know this, so no one would hold you accountable. But God came to you and said, Russell, if you jerk off, the moment you do, Gianmarco will die. How long would you not jerk off for?
I could do it for... if I knew it and I believed it and God was telling me this and I was suddenly real, I believed in God and
it was real.
It was real.
Yeah, a lot of premises have to be true.
You get 1 year. I think I could do a year, but I think then
Would you take me out for like a nice day before?
Well, I would. Here's
would
the
you
thing.
have me surrounded by loved ones and then you'd be like, I'm gonna go to the bathroom
He's
real
there.
quick?
He's there. I can't tell anyone else.
You can't. You
Can I
can
tell Nicole?
You could tell Nicole.
Is Nicole your partner?
Yeah.
Oh, so you're saying you're gonna go to Nicole and be like, look,
Well, I'm just saying
the hand jobs are going up.
It would be a lot worse if I can't. I mean, I could hold out longer. As I'm
You
saying,
couldn't tell her and you'd be like,
That's what I'm
Nicole,
thinking.
I'm saying I can hold out longer for you. I could give you more time, Gianmarco.
You could. I think it's very different. Like,
What's Nicole's answer going to be? 2 months. 2 months of this shit. I cannot be
I can
given
see her
this
being
many
really
hand
good. I can
jobs.
see her really good for a week, and then she's like, "All right, it's fine. He had a good run." You know.
one last rooftop party for him.
I think it's very different of you. I mean, okay, I'm a perpetually single person. So in the midst of that 2 months, I was like alone, and it was still like the vaccines were just rolling out and things like that. So it was a bigger. It felt like a bigger sacrifice because the only person,
it's a huge sacrifice.
the only person that could help me was me.
Yeah.
Whereas if I know you both have, I know you have a girlfriend and you have a girl, so like wife,
Yeah.
wife. So don't you think like you could give him? It really would depend on her participation. How long it wouldn't, because I think.
No, that's why
If there was any amount of if there was an opportunity for any sexual release that wasn't only related to you,
yeah,
then it could go on for.
that's why if I could tell her, you know.
Of course, I have kind of, I have my own religious beliefs, and whenever I have someone who's sick, I think the more I masturbate, the quicker they'll recover. So when my dad had heart surgery, it was just raw. It was a mess.
Okay.
Every second I could, I said, God, please.
Yeah, but 2 months that's a long time, and like, I mean,
Now, is there any part of you that goes like, this is a weird way for God to work?
Well, it's also like, since when am I religious? Like, I haven't walked into a church without there being like a wedding or a funeral of my own accord for so long that I'm like, why suddenly? I do think like I feel like I have an individual relationship with God, and somehow, but like no one was telling me this. I don't even know if God was telling me this. It was some part in the back of my brain that was like, I need to do all that I can, and all that I can is to not masturbate.
I like the version of God where you get to tell him that, and he's like, I don't care about
I didn't
this
say
at
that.
all.
Like,
say that.
I didn't say that in any of the
Whoa,
religions.
whoa, I didn't say that.
Like,
young
calm
man.
down. It's
Young
all
man.
good. You're okay. So that's what's so bizarre. It's like, I don't know. It wasn't like I had some divine like message. It was just like the back of my own brain.
Yeah.
Which, for many people, you wonder if their own relationship to religion is the back of their own brain. But
I see what's interesting.
I'll leave that there
Sex
and not go further.
Sex and orgasm I feel like it must have been tied to religion from the beginning just because it felt good. So it's like, this must be divine. This must have to deal with God. Before we could be like, oh, it's a rush of chemicals to the brain. It's a magical thing.
Yeah.
Like when you first discover it, you're like, this is magic.
Yeah.
And I imagine that's how it became tied with like, that's because it's God. So
one more thing on this topic, which is why I brought it up now 72 minutes ago, was that toward the end of my like, it's almost over. I have to release at some point. I would like tease myself or like just dip my toes back in by turning porn on and like observing and like doing a little bit of like touching, but wasn't full masturbation and not obviously completing.
And you still stopped.
I stopped.
Because I've done that before where I'm taking a break and then I turn it on and within 2 seconds I'm like, literally in my head I go, fuck it.
Yeah.
Fuck it. Let him die.
No. I didn't. But then I just was like, this is too much. And frankly, like, right. I don't know the next time that I'll be called to do that again by no one but myself. But it was it was an experience. And to do that in the middle of a pandemic is wild.
Oh my God, you didn't say it was the pandemic. Oh
Yeah,
my
it
God.
Yeah, you've been
Get
a
outta here.
vaccine before.
It was like you know, celebrities and politicians were getting the vaccine at that stage where like we couldn't get it or we were fighting to get appointments and stuff.
Yeah.
But like it hadn't happened. Like I had not yet been vaccinated.
Did you get early access to the vaccine?
A little bit in the sense of like they said there were all of these things, and one of them was developmental disabilities, which technically someone on somewhere told me that cerebral palsy counted because it starts around birth and is part of your development. Now, I don't think of it now as developmental because I'm 31, or was 29 when that was happening. But I was just like, oh, I can use it. Oh, I'm going. Like, of
course. Yeah.
I'm going, and no one questions you when you're standing there with a walker, and it's like, okay. So they just, in the beginning, they did like before like civilians were.
That's why you brought a walker to your vaccine appointment.
No,
right?
right?
So
No,
you
they
could get
opened the
there
door
early.
for fats. They were like,
but I remember.
bring him in.
Both of you in line, they're like, we got to get him in right away.
Bring him in.
I do remember the like going to the urgent care where I got all of my COVID, all of my like irrational amount of preemptive COVID tests that nobody was telling me to get because I was so scared. I just kept going to the same urgent care. So then I find out that this place, like before regular civilians are getting vaccine access, was creating a wait list because at the end of the days, it was, they would have these extras that were going unused. So they had a wait list. So I remember going up and being like, I'm technically a high risk person, and like not giving any context and just assuming that the walk would cover it. And this woman behind the desk was like, she just lowered her glasses, like, and she just like begrudgingly scribbled my name down. And my brothers were laughing at me on the phone. They're like, Ryan, you look like a 12-year-old. You coming in as like this 12-year-old being like, I'm high risk, which I mean, people with disabilities are, absolutely they are. I didn't I probably personally was not to the degree that I was communicating. I was just so scared of COVID that I was like, I'll do anything and say anything to get access to this vaccine. And that ended up, that was not the place. They every time I called, they were like, we don't have them. Yeah. So then I ended up going to like the Javits Center or something like that.
Yeah.
So you were born Cleveland,
Ohio.
Mm-hmm. And I was listening to an interview with you a little bit about your family. Your family sounds lovely.
They're lovely. They're loud and wildly inappropriate people, but so am I. So
sure.
That's where I come from, and I'm making sound. I don't know why I think I'm just because I'm holding this mug.
Go ahead, take a sip. You said, what was it? Syrian?
Lebanese Syrian.
Were they immigrants?
No, my great grandparents.
Okay.
But on both sides.
Because you must get Jewish all the time.
I do.
Yeah.
I
feel like we could be in a
you.
similar family tree.
Yeah.
We could.
Yeah.
Not just the shirts.
I'm just saying, if anybody wants to cast us, we could both be, and I know that you've said this publicly, we could both be Jeff Goldblum's sons.
Yes.
So I'm just saying that.
Ooh, I like this angle.
To the universe, and I'm the gay one. Or we do the opposite. And
sure, real acting challenge.
People would have a problem with that. But
I don't know. We're really on the fence. We don't know how to feel about it, I think.
About the gay thing?
About like me playing a gay. I feel like if you played straight next to me playing gay, I think they'd be like, in a weird way, they'd be like,
it cancels each other out.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And then it would be like, is he failing? Is he succeeding? I can tell you that I would fail. I think no. I can play. I have played like sexually neutral people, but if you want me to like, or like some, I'm the politician. My whole entire arc is that I have a crush on a girl, and that is fine. If you allow me to be like quirky and zany and a little weird, but if you want me to be like this ultra macho dude who's like, come fuck
me
me
too.
Come
Me
me
too.
I mean, I think
It's
all
not
of
like-
us here.
I think
It's not like all of us can be
I
like,
could see you. I could see you. Come fuck me. I think I worry. It would just be one of those things. I worry like I'd try to overcorrect. So like I think if I had like a romantic scene with another man,
Yeah.
they'd probably be like, okay, slow
Okay,
down.
calm,
They'd be
tone
like,
it
I'd be
down.
too.
Yeah.
I'd be like all over them to prove like I got no problem with this. I got no problem with this. I think to make up for all the years that all these gay actors could only play straight, because that's the only roles there were really, that straight people should be allowed to play gay characters, but that's it for like 100 years. Straight people cannot play straight anymore.
Gay people. Oh, that's
Only
amazing.
gay people can do both. Straight people can only play gay.
I'd have many roles if that happened. Look. I do think, I'm just saying this to the industry, that we should both play Jeff Goldblum's son.
Yes, I've been saying it for decades.
I know you have, but I think we should do it together. It would be so fabulous. And we could have sibling rivalry. It would be. I'm ready to pitch it. But the reason I thought about switching it, what flashed in my mind is the birdcage. Somebody saying, and of course, Robin Williams is a straight man and played the straight man to Nathan Lane, who was the more flamboyant one. But if in 1995 or 6 or whenever that was, Nathan Lane wasn't publicly out.
Yeah.
And couldn't be.
I didn't know he
was
wasn't
he not?
publicly out.
Oh, I didn't know that either.
No, and there's this fascinating. When Robin Williams died, there was this fascinating. The internet finds so many things, but there was this moment of press that they did on Oprah. They were obviously like, Robin Williams, the big star, coming out to promote the movie, and then who comes out to join him on the couch but Nathan Lane. And Oprah spent almost that whole interview kindly, but like cheekily, in a little bit of I love Oprah so much, so I'm saying what I observed from watching this, but she's basically was asking all kinds of pointed questions to sort of get him to come out on her show.
How pointed are we talking about? Like,
I don't remember because I haven't watched it for several years.
how big you like your cocks to be, Nathan?
Oh, not that.
Not that
It was
point.
4
Yeah,
p.m.
I-
It was
I would
4
be shocked if it
was
was-
4 p.m. in syndication. It was
Yeah.
4 p.m. in syndication. But it was before Oprah went and played Ellen's therapist on the Ellen Coming Out episode.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that was a thing.
And so it sort of was. It was fascinating to watch Robin Williams take in what was happening and then immediately deflect. He deflected so many times over the course of this interview to protect his friend at a time when it wasn't,
Really?
safe or advantageous for a gay actor to be out. And also, it's a huge blockbuster, probably one of Nathan Lane's first huge film,
It's got to be surreal to be celebrated to play a gay character and not be able to say you're gay in public. That's got to be
and
crazy.
then have the most prominent talk show host ever in the world be like trying to fish it out of you on daytime.
It's I watched it during the pandemic. It's so good. It's so funny.
Oh, Birdcage.
I love
It's
that
so
film.
and the two of them are
Oh
so
my God.
good in it. Like Robin Williams and Nathan.
Yeah,
Lane.
yeah.
It's just like so well written.
Nathan Lane's
and what's her name?
astounding.
What's her name? She's always great too. Diane Wiest. It's like a great cast.
I saw Nathan Lane. I was watching Murders in the Building, which I'm not. It's fine.
I'm a fan.
There's one actor in it that I feel like
We
it's
all know
too
who
weak.
it is.
It's too weak. Can't say it. I have a big fan base, but
You do have a big fan base.
no, not me. This person who I just think is a weak point in the whole show.
Yeah.
But Nathan Lane had like a scene in it where he has a deaf son.
Yes.
And like it was so fucking good.
Yeah.
And it was like he just brought it to the show
Yeah.
that you don't have to bring it to.
He brought it, but also I want to say that the deaf son, played by James Cavalry, who is a friend of mine, is brilliant, and like, you know, should have also been nominated for a guest actor Emmy alongside Nathan Lane.
Sure.
For that same episode that Nathan Lane won for. Yeah. He's doing brilliant work, and that season 1 episode is told entirely from his point of view as a deaf person.
Yeah.
And I'm so happy. Anytime I'm obsessed with Nathan Lane. I wanted him to be in one of my plays. I want to work with him desperately. But I also am like, you know, James, who goes by Joey in friendly circles, also I think really should have gotten an Emmy nomination for that episode. That, again, he wasn't even nominated, and Nathan Lane won the Emmy for the episode. And it was purely about the scenes that they were in together. Now, he didn't say that to me. I'm saying that to you in my disabled sort of activist lens. It's like, well, I understand. I understand the name recognition. I understand wanting to give somebody who's had a long and illustrious career, but I also understand that when the story is actually about the deaf son, that they should be centered in the PR machine that gets people Emmy awards.
Well, it's also like those Emmy guest star things are so weird because they're so different than any other category where it means celebrity. Like they should, it means celebrity, and there's 100%. No other thing where it means that, like, because you could have a relatively unknown that's a series regular on a show and get nominated for like their first kind of thing, but for those guest stars they mean here's the celebrity that popped up in a show, and we're going to give them a thing, you know? But it just means then they need to rename it because guest star is not accurate to what they give it for.
Of course.
You know?
How speaking of disability in the industry, I mean, talk about, you know, the history of acting is fascinating in terms of...
oh, God. Well...
Yes,
go on.
I just think all the time, and we've talked about it here before, but you know, Daniel Day-Lewis doing My Left Foot it's wild to think of. There's been some good changes, I think, you know, for the most part. I mean, how do you feel about the state of the industry?
We're still not there. We're still not at the blanket place of this role is written to be disabled, and therefore it's going to be played by a disabled actor. We're getting closer, and the louder that people are when, you know, Bryan Cranston, who played opposite a disabled actor as his son for many seasons on Breaking Bad, then goes and plays a quadriplegic in a blockbuster that nobody saw with Nicole Kidman. Like, people would say that, like, you need Bryan Cranston to make that film, but nobody saw that film anyway, right?
Yeah,
sure.
So it's like, why, you know?
But
but that wasn't like some awards bait film.
It could have been, though. I'm sure they wanted it to be.
I actually don't even know what movie this is.
This was Bill Burr talked about it.
I think it's called The Upside. I think.
The opposite.
The Downside.
Yes.
Or maybe they changed the title.
Is there any validity to the argument of we need a megastar?
I don't think so.
Uh-huh.
I don't think so. So we were talking about when we first brought up the gay thing of can straight actors play gay roles. I'm as a gay man not ready to like make that hard firm. Also because I think sexuality is a fluid thing.
Sure.
Can change over time, and not that like it can change in the sense of like I'm going to suddenly become straight, but I do think like people are attracted to who they're attracted to, and like are constantly developing as human, you know, as humans. And I also think that what we've seen with, oh my gosh, what is that charming show? I don't know the actor's name, and I can't even remember the name of the show.
What's the show about?
It was the two young Heartstoppers. It's these young. It's a British show about young gay boys sort of a coming of age story, and it's extremely charming, a beautiful show, and one of the main actors was getting a lot of heat on Twitter, I think, because who else? Where else?
Yeah.
About that they gave the opportunity to a quote straight actor, and he's just turned 18 or whatever. Upon the release of the show, let alone when it was filmed, like 18 years old. I was 18 years old. I was still a junior in high school, and like had no idea. I knew I was gay, but I had no idea. Like I was in Parma, Ohio, just sitting and being silly and having dreams. I can't imagine being 18, being thrust into the spotlight, and then having this barrage of hate. And so then he had to come out on Twitter as bi. And he was like, "You've now made an 18-year-old come out publicly. I'm 18." Like it's not like he is an A-lister who did it to pick up a trophy. He was an 18-year-old kid who just wasn't ready. So that's what's so complicated to me about gay versus straight.
But also, if you're gay, I think one of the bigger differences is also just that a gay person can play a straight person can play a gay person, but like the idea with the whale, which was a big discussion. It's like you can put on a fat suit, but you can't have an overweight actor put on a skinny suit for this other role. So there is not, at least with gay and straight, you can play both, yes. But with these other things, literally there's no other opportunity.
Right. And there should be, but not. I have not seen The Whale. I am a theater boy at heart, and I love Samuel G. Hunter as a playwright. But I have only read The Whale in the far past, and I did not see the film. And so I'm not going to comment on that. We are speaking to you from the day after the Academy Award.
When you saw the play of The Whale, though.
I didn't see it.
You didn't even see the play.
I read it in 2015. And I also think reading it on the page and the words that he's written, he's a beautiful playwright. I am in my head creating the imagery for myself when I'm reading a play on the page. So, and whether like the story in my mind is offensive or not, I don't know. Like, it's in my mind, right? When you're reading something, but I've only read it, so I don't. And that was in 2015 when I read it. I read it on the plane on my way to moving to New York because my first day job was at a play publishing company, and they said, "Here are scripts that you have to read."
I miss reading plays. I used to read it all the time.
What I need to say regarding disability, and I think also very much regarding trans performers, is that we do need to get to the point where it is not acceptable. It is just simply not acceptable that a non-disabled actor would play a disabled role. And we also need to get to the point where disabled actors have the opportunity to be seen and considered for, and then going even further as to book, which is even more rare, roles not originally written to be disabled.
Of course. But can I ask, though, on your point, though, do you think, of your personal philosophy, which I'm sure is always evolving, could you play someone with cerebral palsy that was much more severe? Do you think, like, being in the category means that you, like, for example, let's say my left foot.
Yes.
Like, do you think that my left foot, if someone says, here's a Christy Brown, here's a guy who have this incredible life that's worthy of capturing on TV or film.
Sure.
Do you think that you would go, I think I should be considered for this role? Or do you think it should go to someone who is literally only capable of really working their left foot to do most of their tasks?
Oh, it's so hard. It's so hard.
My immediate is like, well, you know what? Let's not get too specific. Of course, better you do it than Daniel Day-Lewis.
Yes, I currently in the year 2023 on March 13th, 2023.
Every opinion should be time stamped on podcasts for now on.
I do think that I Yes, I think, and I've seen it happen, and I've watched friends do it, play people who have either different manifestations of the same disability or sort of adjacent disabilities that are not exactly the same thing. Do I think that wheelchair users should be actively considered for parts that are written to be wheelchair users? Yes. Have I played chair users? Yes. And I do I regret playing that role, which hasn't come out yet. It's a mini series that's going to come out. I think later this year. It's currently titled Retreat, and it is by the duo that made the OA, Britt Marling and Zal Botmonglich. So he was written to be in a motorized chair, but
you auditioned for this role too, right?
Oh God.
No, I didn't.
But they cast a wider net in terms of disability, and I got the role. And do I feel guilty? No, I don't.
Of course,
yeah.
I don't feel guilty, but because I think that better than me than a non-disabled person.
Yeah.
But I think it's complicated because I'm also a writer, and when I have plays that have other people in them that are not my solo work, I want the story to be told the best way possible. That doesn't mean necessarily that I'm going to blast all of my morals away and start casting people for roles that they shouldn't be playing, but my family is a Lebanese American family from the Midwest. And so when I'm casting the role of my mom and my dad, I'm thinking about people who represent my mom and my dad.
Sure.
Not anybody who only is of Lebanese descent. I widen the net because I want somebody who's funny and biting and feels like they come from the Midwest, and so that might mean that my mom is played by a person of Iranian descent.
Sure.
Or
especially in the theater, I think you have to have a degree of look, it's casting a play. If it's A24, it's like, well, you can be really specific, and you can get actors. You can have options here to explore. But with theater, it's like if you get too specific in theater for a lower budget play, there's not going to be that much to choose from, and you're then going to have to lessen getting exactly what you want feeling wise. There's a degree where we can't come up with exactly strict hard rules across the spectrum.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think we're at the point. We're still at the point where celebrities are playing disabled sometimes.
Sure.
And so we need the rules cannot be so strict yet. And I have two dear theater friends who were awarded for their roles off Broadway in a play called Cost of Living, Greg Muscala and Katie Sullivan, and they are not chair users, but they played two chair users in Martina Mayok's play, and they transferred with it to Broadway, and they're brilliant, and they're roles that they originated and have done, all the almost all the major professional productions of, and nobody, to my mind, is saying, well, they shouldn't be playing those roles. But I do think that there are many people whose primary mobility device is a wheelchair who should be equally considered.
Sure.
Yeah.
And equally and as often.
That guy from Glee will always be so wild to me. The guy.
I know.
There's a chair user.
I didn't know until this year.
It's only because so he could have one dream sequence
Yeah.
where he gets out of the chair and does a funky choreography.
Yeah.
But mostly he's in the chair doing choreo in all the dances. And I just I feel like it would be a tough legacy as the world evolved to be like, the thing I'm most known for is pretending I need to use a wheelchair, and here I am walking to my fan conventions, and maybe even if you had like a big chair user fan base, I don't even know.
Let me say some things. I've said this before. First of all, I'm going to preempt this by saying I was on a Ryan Murphy television show, and I had a wonderful experience with Ryan Murphy Productions and Ryan Murphy himself. He was nothing but kind to me and wonderful. So I'm a kid obsessed with Glee. Obsessed.
Did you ever watch Glee? Do you know anything about it?
I think I watched the pilot when it came out, but then I didn't watch anymore.
I didn't, and I wasn't, and obviously in the business, I was in high school at Palmer Senior High, and I
was in college.
Me too.
Truly, I just I loved it. My family loved it. We went to the stadium tour. You know what I mean?
Was it good? Was the stadium tour good?
Sure, it was fantastic.
I just saw Leah Michelle in Funny Girl, so
I haven't seen her yet. I saw Beanie, but I have not seen Leah yet. Not saying that I won't. I just am in a play right now, so I'm not seeing other plays, including Titanic, which I will be seeing. And then we can be buddies.
Can Titanic give me a little kickback for this fucking show? I feel like we must be getting some people out there.
So, okay, here we go. So I obviously was not in the business, so I didn't understand the politics of like why it was so bad that he wasn't a disabled person. I'm just a kid from Ohio who wants to be a star but doesn't understand the very real systemic roadblocks to getting disabled people to become stars. That being one of them, because they could have made a disabled actor a star in the year 2009 when Glee came out. So I really just like enjoyed it, and I thought, oh, wonderful! I am being represented. I am a disabled person who's in high school, and there's a disabled person who's in high school, even though he's not a disabled. All of this, and then he gets out of the chair, and whatever it was, season 2 or season 3, to do that dance sequence, and that is when I freaked the fuck out.
Wait,
because I was so upset because you know what? I don't live in a wheelchair. And I don't know, and maybe there are some people who often fantasize about getting up and doing a show-stopping number, but I have dreamed of being on Broadway and being at the center of a kick line for my entire life, and never once in those scenarios was I ever imagining that the walker would go away. Was I ever dreaming that I would be not disabled? I was just dreaming that there would be scores of hunky men who would throw me around the stage and make me feel attractive, like, you know, any great Broadway diva who didn't want to tap dance and just stood there at the center and smiled. That's who I wanted to be. And so the idea that the fantasy would exist, that his fantasy would be that he would get out of his chair was just, that was when it really crossed a line for me.
Interesting.
And became, that's when it was hurtful. And then I started to realize that, what it means for a non-disabled actor to get series regular money on a network show and all the residuals that come with that and all of the everything. Like, we're talking literal, like, life-changing gobs of money that were then also denied to a disabled person.
Yeah. And they get, because I remember one of the big emotional moments from the end of one of the seasons was Jane Lynch's character buys him, a machine that lets him kind of walk. You remember this?
I do.
I remember in college, like, crying as this like big goes.
Sure. And I see those videos even still. They go viral all the time. If people are who are like, oh my God, if I just had this kind of chair and these kinds of robotic legs. And again, I am an ambulatory person, which means that I am able to walk and I can choose my mobility device as I see fit. And so who knows truly what that means for someone, but for someone who doesn't have that opportunity. But I know many, many, many chair users would just rather the world be a little more accessible. Would just rather there be a ramp and an elevator instead of stairs as opposed to having robotic legs or a chair that allows them to go up steps.
Yeah.
Like, because those things cost $1 bazillion and disabled people do not have $1 bazillion. And like, even if we did, we shouldn't be paying for that. We should be trying to make the world more welcoming.
Well, as I said,
I have a question.
Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
Was he in the stadium tour? Did you and if so, was he in a chair for the stadium tour? Like, because that's what's weird.
I don't remember.
Okay, because I was gonna say that would be very.
I don't
weird.
remember.
I would bet that I'm just gonna guess that he was, but of course, I bet he did the dream sequence in the stadium tour.
Now, I really had a fabulous time working with Ryan Murphy Productions. Yeah. I want to say that I want them to cast me in anything else. I've just been waiting to get a call back to Ryan Murphy Productions. And I will say that Kevin McHale recently said that if there was a Glee reboot, he could not go back to play the role of RD because it would not be appropriate for him to play a chair user anymore at this time. But this is what I've got to say, and I think
it's easy to say after the fact. By the way,
no, but I think he's a young
Please, if I was that age, of course I'd take it. I'm not saying that I'm better than this.
Because he got the money. He got the money. The other thing, though. Oh God. And look. I think my manager. I'm saying this on a podcast and I think it's okay for me to say this on a podcast. I think my manager will be slightly uncomfortable that I'm saying this on a podcast.
Gianmarco likes to cut out things.
Shut the fuck up.
No, I'm not going to cut it out. We're not going to cut it out because I can't believe that it happened. I literally cannot believe that it happened. Ryan Murphy just won, rightly so, a brilliant humanitarian award at the Golden Globes in January. And of course, there was a clip package of all of his many, many, many brilliant works. And we get to a section in this clip package that seems like the narrator, I can't remember who was narrating it, I think maybe Billy Porter, was talking about basically diversity and inclusion, right? And there had already been clips from Glee earlier in the clip package. We're talking the 3-minute video that is shown before Ryan goes up and gives his speech, which was a gorgeous speech and had everybody in tears, including me. I wasn't at the Golden Globes. I'm talking about being in my underwear on my love seat. But I'm sitting and watching the Golden Globes, and Billy Porter's voiceover is talking about diversity and inclusion. And we get to the diversity and inclusion sort of segment of the Ryan Murphy clip package, and who appears there, not independent of the Glee chunk, is Kevin McHale in the wheelchair. In the diversity and inclusion section. And I was very beside myself. The fact that somebody allowed that to go to air, having him represent that element, not just that it showed Glee, but that we were talking about the opportunities that Ryan has given, which he has, to me included, and many others.
That's not a good example.
That's a bad example.
That's like if there was like a reel of all the diversity in Hollywood and it showed a scene from Tropic Thunder. It's not. Robert Downey Jr. is not an example of the improvement of diversity.
And I couldn't believe that representation of the wheelchair was the kind that they thought that we needed. And there was the really giant, because there were a few clips from the politician in the overall thing. There was the giant, egotistical part of my brain that was like, I was right there.
Of course.
There were many.
If it's between you and
there were many shots of me available.
Yeah.
And
that's a good point.
Yeah, that's a good point. They chose to show Kevin McHale in the wheelchair when they were discussing diversity and inclusion. I wanted to scream, and I sent a lot of texts. And to people, and now I'm saying this on a public podcast, and I hope that doesn't mean I don't know if it was. I don't know who made that package. I don't know why the choices were made, and I continue to have great memories of my experience on The Politician. If there is a season 3 ever, I would.
I do not think you've spoken out of turn at all. I think it's a good point.
It was just utterly shocking. I could not believe, especially given him having just said that he wouldn't come back to play the role.
Yeah.
I literally couldn't believe it. And I also know that I was not the only disabled actor on that specific show. I am not the only disabled actor that Ryan Murphy has cast. So I'm like, you could have, and there were several others shown, but the point is Kevin McHale is not a disabled actor.
Yes.
So you do not get to use him when you are modeling your commitment to diversity and inclusion. You just simply do not.
Yeah. I want to talk before we go to our final segments about when we first met, you were doing, I believe you were doing excerpts from the show that you do. That's just you.
I don't think I actually was. I wasn't. I'll tell you what I was doing. But tell me what you.
Well, what was that show? Remind me. It's Are You Single?
The primary solo play that I'm known for and have gone to various cities around the country doing is called Hi, Are You Single? Hi, Are You Single? And I love it, and it is still begging for an off-Broadway premiere. So if anybody wants to produce it in New York, I was just named a critic's pick in the New York Times for my current show, Dark Disabled Stories. So I really would love for this, my baby, my very first play, to get its due as well. But no, the thing I was doing excerpts of was actually has turned into my first multi-character family play, which is called Good Time Charlie.
Well,
and I was doing a monologue about my gay uncle and his best friend, which is what you saw.
Oh, sure. I'd love to. I kind of just want to. I want to either from. Is it Hi, Are You Single or Hey, Are You Single?
Hi.
Hi. You're a hi. You're a hi guy. I'm a hello.
Oh, you're yes.
Hello.
You are. Hello.
What are you?
I think I'm a hi.
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 Well, you know where
Hi.
the title comes from, the fact that at the age of 21, I was here for a week doing performance art at a museum. And I sat outside the bathroom at the Boiler Room in the East Village and on the arm of the chair. And as men came in and out of the bathroom, I just said, "Hi, are you single? Hi, are you single?" As a way to try to pick someone up, and it did not work. And now it is the name of the show that has launched my career.
Were you optimistic about this? Were you being
I was
picky? Were there
desperate.
some people? Hi.
I was desperate.
Did you go in with that plan, or did you just kind of find it?
No, I was in New York for a week, and it was the end of the week, and I just I wasn't getting the attention that I wanted from men, so I really sunk to the lowest level and tried.
Yeah, right outside the bathroom too. I mean, that is the lowest level. I gotta tell you.
Yeah. So yes. What were you gonna say?
Oh, so okay. So the current show right now, you're in it as well.
Yes.
You share some stories.
It's a play of vignettes, autobiographical vignettes about my life, but it is I qualified Good Time Charlie as my first multi-character play, but this is the first professionally produced play of mine that has multiple performers. There are 3 performers in the show. The show is mostly told from my point of view. It is called Dark Disabled Stories. They are my disabled stories for the most part, but there are 2 other performers in it, Jicky Hartz and Alejandra Ospina, and they both also share a story from their point of view, which I helped them craft and write.
Could you either maybe one that was cut from the show, one that you decided not to tell, or one from the show you want to share? I'd love to hear a dark disabled story if you don't mind.
Yes. Thank you. Oh, wow.
You don't have to perform it fully.
No.
We
I
could
won't
pretend.
perform it fully, and I don't remember the words anymore because it was cut several years ago. but it used to be in the show, which is that I, 25 years old, back in Ohio for a visit. I was already living in New York for 2 years, but 25, still on my parents' health insurance till I'm 26. So I go to their new primary care doctor because their one that I sort of had grown up with had retired. So he is like this army dude, bro. They sometimes call him G.I. Joe. He no longer is their doctor. But he had never met me. So I go in, and my mom is in the waiting room, and she's like, "Do you want me to come in with you?" Nope. I'm an adult. Like, I'll go in myself, but thank you, for the health insurance and for paying for my health care. And I go in, and I'm sitting on the thing, which I don't even know how I got up there. It's always an ordeal whenever I have to go to a doctor and sit on the high thing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Right. That seems a place they should have figured it out.
But he walks in. Oh, yeah. The medical system and their treatment of disability is like a whole nother podcast that is much darker. But in this scenario, I'm just waiting, and this guy comes in, and he's like, big muscles, tall, deep voice, like so hot. Like, oh my God, I'm so into it. And I'm like trying to be a little flirty with this doctor who's like clearly like practicing in Parma, Ohio, like very straight. And so he goes, hi, like, oh my, it's nice to meet you. I see your parents. Yes, I know. And then he goes, so I see here that you have cerebral palsy. And I'm like sitting there, my walker is like next to me. And I'm like, yeah, sure, of course. Okay, so like, what are you doing about your cerebral palsy? And I'm like, nothing. Like, I'm not doing anything. I don't. It just is.
It just is.
It just is. It's like this is my life. Like, it's never gonna go away. I don't know what you're talking about. Like, what am I doing? He's like, are you seeing a physical therapist? And I go, well, no, because a physical therapist, like in elementary, middle, and high school, they like provided in public school, they like provided weekly physical therapy. And that was somebody named Lisa Boyd, who I love, who I really like. Clearly from like 3 years old to 18, 19, you develop this deep relationship with somebody. But as soon as I left that and like started to go to not provided for me physical therapists who I don't know, it became these people who are like, well, what are we here to fix? And what are your goals? And what are your like, we need to have goals because the insurance isn't going to cover it unless we're trying to make something better.
Interesting.
And so I basically was like, I don't want to go to a physical therapist because they're trying to fix me and there's nothing to fix. Like, this is just the way that I move. Okay, well, are you seeing a neurologist? Because cerebral palsy is, he didn't say this, but cerebral palsy is neurological. It's brain damage, which is also probably why it counted as developmental when I went for the COVID vaccine. It is brain damage, and it's not about my arms and my legs. It's about the way that my brain communicates with my arms and my legs. And so, are you seeing a neurologist? Well, no. Like, I saw a neurologist when I was 3, and they had just diagnosed cerebral palsy. We have a distant relative who's a neurologist who we would go to for our neurology opinions. But like, no, I'm 25, and this is my life, and I'm not seeing a neurologist. Okay, great. Well, if you don't want to see it, you really should be seeing someone. And I told this a little backwards, and because I wasn't performing, but I went in being like, I'm here for my primary care checkup, and I want to be a good, like a good, knowledgeable gay person who is mindful of sexual health. So I'm going to ask this person at my primary care checkup for a regular HIV test.
Yes.
Which is a thing that you do. But I have not gotten to that point because he's obsessed with my cerebral palsy. So no to neurology, no to physical therapy. And he goes, well, how about, excuse me, cut that out, please. I burped on your microphone.
Please don't make us cut it out. It will be the biggest nightmare of my entire life. That was me, guys. That was me burping on the mic.
All right. I'm sorry. This is slower.
This is a first time appointment. I mean, this is a first appointment.
First time, and I'm fully an adult. I'm like an adult.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to like find out about my cholesterol and my blood pressure, and make sure that like I'm healthy. And he's obsessed with the fact that I have cerebral palsy. So no physical therapist, no neurologist. How about a physical trainer? Would you be interested in a physical trainer?
Oh my God.
And I went, sure. Like I, as any human does, have body image issues. And even though I'm a really skinny person, I'm like, I have this like a little bit of belly fat that I would be like happy to like tone up. Like, I'd love to develop some abs. I've never had abs before. Like, it would be great. A physical trainer sounds great. He goes, perfect. I know somebody who, if you're ever in Cleveland for a longer period of time, I know somebody who specializes in training people with physical disabilities. And they're one of my buddies from the Army. And I went, I'm thinking, oh my God, an army, like the highest peak fantasy that this like army dude is gonna like whip me into shape and turn me into some muscle god, and also like help with some balance and stability issues and things like that. Thrilled, like I'm so turned on. I'm like, and maybe I can get a threesome with this doctor and the army, but it would be amazing.
Your optimism is astounding.
My optimism is so high.
Wow.
And he goes, and she's really pretty, so you're going to have a really great time.
Oh.
And he says it in a way that's totally a male chauvinist pig, totally like objectifying his friend from the army.
Yeah.
And like...
Now, to be fair, you just told us about a threesome fantasy you had with this army guy, too. Sounds like we're sexualizing it.
I love that. Thank you for calling me out. Thank you.
I had to do it. We just talked about a threesome with the doctor and the guy.
No. You're like, but the idea of, first of all, I'm a kind of person who like assumes that I just exude gayness. I mean, I guess I'm neutral enough that people who just meet me don't know. Or he's so like deeply rooted in Parma, Ohio, that he could not conceive that there would be a gay and disabled man in his office.
Yeah. You're one or the other.
Like, dear God. So it was the idea that he assumed that I would be like turned on by a woman. So I'm sitting there on the thing, and literally I'm just like, well, I guess I shouldn't ask him for the HIV test. And that is how the story used to end.
So you didn't ask for it because you were like, I can't.
No, I didn't. I just thought, well, I'll just go to the...
I got to let him think
I'll go back to New York and go to the LGBT center.
Yeah.
Because he clearly doesn't have any comprehension of who I... Like, my existence is so, like, novel to him that I can't ask for what I actually need. And now I go to...
You could be like, hey, can I get an HIV test? Because, it comes from pussies, too.
Yeah.
That's true. But
it's true.
Yeah.
But he wouldn't have probably, like, grasped that.
I think if he heard you say the word pussies, however it came out of your mouth, he'd go, oh, you're gay. I'm so sorry.
I'm certain that retelling of that story sold no tickets to Dark Disabled Stories at the Public Theater. But it is, and it was basically just cut because there's another story that's similar to it, and I didn't need to play the same note twice. But it was the first time as an adult that I entered a doctor's office alone. I did keep my mom in the waiting room. I have no idea how it would have been different if my mother was in the room, but it has not since been the first time. Like, every time I go to a new doctor, it's all of that. And
what is it that they want? Like, in their mind, what is it that they're trying to do? Is there like a vast, when they say to you, like, physical training, what are the goals? Like, are there goals to be had?
I think, it's some of it is physical maintenance. Like there are physical medicine doctors and you can go to physical therapy, and I have a prescription for it that I got back in August of 2022 that I have yet to to fill because of my own like baggage about all of it. But like I could go to a therapist and be like, hey, I'm not really here to fix anything, but I would love to be able to like push out of a chair a little easier, or I would love to be able to just like bodily maintenance, because my body is going to age and has aged, and maintenance is different than fixing. But it's never framed that way. It's never just like we're trying to keep you where you are. It's always about trying to make you better. And the answer is you can't make me better. Have you opened a textbook? Do you know what cerebral palsy is? You cannot.
So that's just a misconception that in their mind they're like, well,
I just think that the medical system certainly doesn't know how to make space for the multifaceted, multi-identity and complex health lives of disabled adults.
Yeah.
Because so much, either you like are born with a disability and you like do everything you can as a child to like be the best disabled version of yourself that you can be, and then you get to adulthood and it's like, well, I guess that's where you are. Or you have an accident later in life and you become disabled. But actually it's like so much deeper than that, because a lot of people who are lucky enough to live to a certain age are going to become disabled in one way or the other.
Sure.
And I think in the same way that doctors are not the greatest at, and I'm not saying all doctors, and I know that there are some really great doctors, and that I don't know why I'm preempting myself, but the point being, a lot of times old people get written off.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Especially if you're an old person with like
COVID was the greatest proof of that.
If you're an old person and disabled people were written off there too. Younger disabled people were written off and continue to still be. Every time you take off your mask in a public space, you're like basically telling disabled people that you don't care that they exist, because there are still disabled people who are remaining inside of their homes because the outside world has moved on and they can't move on. But if an old person is old and they're diagnosed with cancer, I have experience of this in my, family. People throw their hands in the air and they're like, "Well, you're old." So, and then they don't want to give them any kind of hope or potential to be better, and that's really messed up. And the same thing happens with disabled people, but we're not given the opportunity. I'm like, I don't know. I'm really going on a rant here that's very off genre for this podcast and has nothing to do with my play that I'm here to promote. But the point is that, like, I'm a viable sexually active gay man. I should be able to look at any doctor and say, I want an HIV test, or I want a prescription for PrEP. I assume that you both know what PrEP is.
Yeah.
Right. Because we live in New York City. Well, guess what? I had 3 medical tests in over the sort of winter break because of some stuff that I have going on back home in Cleveland, because I wanted to be sort of near family for these tests. And every time I went into an office, they would look at my like medication list and go, "What is PrEP? What is Truvada? What is Descovy?" Not like, how many milligrams do you... They would be like, "What is this?"
And then right after, they're like, "Did you see the tits on that nurse? I mean, isn't that pretty nice?"
Do they not have TV though? I used to see ads for all of those.
Well, but in New York, I mean, we're in New York.
I couldn't believe that they didn't know.
Yeah.
What it was. And it isn't, for those who don't, it is an HIV preventative drug that HIV negative men take so that they can have really wonderful, vibrant, fulfilling relationships with men who are HIV positive and not contract HIV. That's what it's for. And so I'm on it. And almost every gay man in New York is on it who is HIV negative. And I guess not as many people are on it in Ohio because every nurse had no idea
That's crazy.
what it was. But you add to that I'm disabled and they just think I'm some alien.
Yeah.
And then like they'll say like, I want you to do this thing for this part of your body. And they don't realize that have a disability and what they're telling me to do doesn't work because of the way that I move through the world. It's just there's this widespread, like we're just forgotten about and we're not seen as healthy individuals. So when we go for our regular checkup, it becomes this exacerbating ordeal. And that's why I think a lot of people disabled people become very attached to doctors who get it and get them.
Sure.
Yeah.
And right now, I finally have found in the last year, thank God, in New York, a gay man. Like I'm seeing a gay primary care doctor.
Did you seek that out?
Yes. More than I would, if I were to seek out a disabled doctor, they certainly exist. But like to me, what I was getting was this sort of shock that I was wanting to be on top of my sexual health by regularly getting HIV tests and being on PrEP. And I was being told, like, you don't need that because they couldn't conceive that I was having sex. So I needed to go to someone who was a gay man who understood that I am a gay man who have the same needs that every gay man has and that every man has and wants and desires. So put me on the pill that you're putting everybody else on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's good you found that doctor.
Yeah. It's
I
also
did.
like, yeah.
I hope he never retires because
I feel like sooner it would be I'd go to a doctor in New York and be like, I got this trainer for you. The ass in this guy, you're going to love it.
Yeah, but it is this thing of like, too, being like, if you're going for these other things and then they're trying to like be like, well, we're going to ignore all those things. Here's how you can fix stuff that you're like, that's just baseline what I am as a human.
I am.
Like, so yeah. That's very frustrating.
Yeah, we got to
end.
We haven't had a doctor on this podcast, I don't think.
I'm just saying we have to end. I just
Would your gay doctor
I've been
do
watching.
the
Would you your
podcast?
podcast?
Yeah.
How many
Wow.
followers does he have?
I don't. He's not a celebrity doctor, but it was very hard to get a new patient appointment, and I had to fight for it.
Okay.
He's very popular,
That's good.
Ooh. All right.
but I don't know that he's popular like on social media. I just think
Yeah.
Sure. All right, let's go on to our next segment.
This has gotta stop.
This has got to stop. So is there something? I mean, we've talked about a lot of things that got to stop.
God.
Can I be honest? Well, twofold. Sometimes
already done it.
Sometimes, Russell, I think about getting rid of this segment because I feel like we kind of do it.
Yeah.
But then recently I had a video where with Judy Gold, we skipped the This Gotta Stop. One of the comments was,
Where was this discussed?
where was, no, this gotta stop. That's my favorite part.
Okay. Well, we're
This is
going to do it now.
this
You
is so
played the
tough.
song. So
Yeah, it's too late. What's it? This has got to stop. It could be specific. It doesn't have to be anything with a disability. Something in the world, something in theater, something in running a show, something that's got to stop. I think I got one. If you want me to do mine,
let's.
Yeah,
let's
Russell
me
doesn't
go-
have
I'll
one.
go last.
I don't have one.
Why?
well, because
Why? That's a good
you know,
point.
here's why. Gianmarco, usually we just have the guest do it. Unless
Usually, like, we don't then have this conversation every time.
give me yours and I'll come up
Okay.
with one.
No, it's okay. So it's a little bit of a story. I needed to. Here's what's got to stop. I book a lot of flights. I book a shitload of flights, and when you book a round trip, you can't just cancel one leg of the trip. You have to cancel the whole trip. And I have things coming in, coming out, canceled, mostly canceled, and I have to change things. And so I call to see if I can get this one leg of the trip canceled. And they go, why do you need to cancel it? And I'm in a bad mood. I've been waiting with this music for 15 minutes, which we all know the music is a little loop of a little jingle because they want you to hang up because it's torture. We all know this. And they go, why do you need to cancel? I go, my mom died. And I'm there with Tove, and Tove gives me a look like, what are you doing? And he goes, I'm so sorry for your loss. I'm like, yeah, so I need to cancel the second leg of this trip, cancel the trip back. And he goes, okay, well, it's really simple. So if you can submit your death certificate for your mother to Unite. And I'm like, God damn it. Now I can't get the answer to how to get it because I've caught myself in this lie. So I have to be like, oh my God, she's breathing again. Okay, she's back. I still would like to reschedule the second part of this trip. Can you tell me what to do? Bottom line is, did not get the leg canceled. I had to just pay for it. But this has got to stop is, we know what you're doing, airlines. We know you could cancel one leg of the trip. We know it. We know it. You just are doing this to fuck people. Make it so I cancel one leg of the trip without losing the whole trip.
Okay.
That's why this has got to stop.
I agree with that. But this has got to stop is people need to stop lying to customer service reps. You can't lie and just pull out your mom died to make this person who's not their job. They're not making any money.
It doesn't matter what's the reason. What's the reason? Because I need to cancel
but
it.
Now you're making him feel bad, and you're like, and it doesn't.
Please, I'm the 10th person that told him that his mom died.
I know
hour.
it's a sad existence.
I could tell by the way he gave condolences. He was like, "I'm so sorry to hear. So sorry to hear about your mom."
You have to disassociate with something. I don't like the lying about dying people in
but they're not going to give it to you any other way. They're monsters. Not him, not the customer service, but Delta Airlines. These are monstrous people.
I know.
So what am I going to say?
It's the MTA. I mean, I don't know. It's the corporations.
MTA. So
I don't know.
I think we all need to lie until it gets to a point of unsustainability, and finally the people at the top
It
go,
won't.
we got to do
They'll get bailed
something.
out. They'll get bailed out.
So you're just giving up?
I
You
don't
put your head
know.
in the sand? I'm out there doing
know.
something. I'm saying my mom's died, my dad's died, all my siblings have died. I'm getting into it.
I don't
I'm making
like
a
it.
difference.
I don't have it. Okay, I know I was supposed to prepare. I will give you one, but I need to tell you about what you just said, which is they also ask for the death certificates when you request a bereavement fare. So like when your mother actually dies, and you need, and you know if we were to go on Delta right now and try to book a flight for tomorrow, it would be like $1,000 or more. So somebody actually dies, and there is such a thing as a bereavement fare, which is supposed to be discounted, but you need to like prove that the person died, and you need to go through all of these steps just to be able to get on the plane to get to your family. Why would anybody want to go through that effort?
Of course.
At that time, when all it's like, do I have a suit that is dry cleaned? Can I pack? Can I get home in the next 2 hours? Like there just needs to be, first of all, these last minute, I know people are overbooking now, but like there is such a need as a last minute flight, and not everybody has $1,000 to drop.
Mm-hmm.
Of course. Of course.
And so I'm obsessed that they would ask for that rigorous documentation to cancel one leg when they're also asking for it just to get you on a plane for a reasonable amount of money.
Sure. I think the problem is people keep lying about their mom dying.
Yeah, and so it's your fault.
It's your fault.
I mean, I also have to say that like in my casual observance of your social media, I feel like that lie has appeared like in repetition.
It's too much.
Like I know
You have to stop lying.
I got to mix it up to my siblings and cousins.
You're a liar. You're a liar.
In a very specific realm. Listen.
Okay, let me talk to you about this. Has got to stop. Ready?
Okay.
This has got to stop. Phones going off when I am performing live in a 99-seat theater. And I'm going to qualify this story with a somewhat of an understanding. We're doing relaxed performances, which means that people can come and go as they need to go. There's no like, if you know, and if you have a diabetes monitor, if your phone goes off for whatever reason and you need something, great. Attend to your phone, do what you need to do, leave. It's okay. But I'm at the end of a 75-minute play on a Saturday afternoon. The empathy that I have is that we had a long technical hold before we started. So the show was considerably late because of some technical issues, which means that perhaps this individual, who was a much older woman, elderly woman, sitting in the front row, had an alarm that I assume she thought would go off after the play had ended. Because of the delay, it caused the alarm to go off in the middle of my final story, which is arguably the darkest story and the most intense story. And it wasn't a phone ringing like the call, that will stop in 60 seconds.
Yeah.
It was an alarm.
Just an alarm.
Beep, 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 beep. And my family is very intelligent. And they were in the third or fourth row. But when we had lunch afterward, they were like, Ryan, could you hear it? I was like, it's a 99C theater, and this woman was in the front row. Of course I could hear it. They were like, well, we noticed that you got a little louder, into the microphone. I kept going. I was like, we had already delayed the start.
Yeah.
My co-star is a deaf actor. He has no idea what is happening. I was
funny.
like,
Wow.
He's like, what is Ryan doing?
I was like, I need to keep going so that he's not thrown off. And then I have another co-star who sits sort of just off of the platform. I hope I will have the opportunity to talk a little more about this play. But there's three of us there. And Dickie is on stage with me, and he's deaf. And Alejandra is sitting off stage. And she has an iPad, and that is part of her working station. So the woman, when the usher goes up to this woman who clearly it is her phone, decides to point to my cast member Alejandra and be like, it's her. It's coming from her.
Oh my God.
And I'm like, this show is for deaf people and people with hearing loss and for people with all kinds of disabilities. But I think that when Dickie's phone goes off, it lights up because Dickie is a deaf man, and that is how Dickie knows his phone is going off. This woman just didn't have the directional hearing to know that the phone was in her bag, which was in her lap. And it just kept going, and I'm in the middle of telling this story, and I'm trying so hard not to be thrown off. And I thought my parents were going to call the police on this woman. I could see their faces in the fourth row. They were going to die.
Oh.
Do you think she knew and was too embarrassed, or do you think maybe she's deaf?
Here's the thing about older people, and aging. They don't want to acknowledge that they have become a part of the disability experience.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to be empathetic, but I tell stories about people in the play who are older, who wouldn't feel camaraderie with me, don't think that anything I'm saying relates to them because I'm not the same as them, because I'm just an older individual. So sometimes old people who experience hearing loss do not want to believe that is happening.
Yeah.
Even though it is clearly happening. She heard a phone. She just didn't know that it was in her lap, in her bag. And we just all kept going, and the ushers kept coming back. They were like, I'm pretty sure it's you.
Oh, God,
I'm pretty sure it's you. And I'm
fucking
watching this happen 6 feet away from me, and words are coming out of my mouth, but I have no idea what's happening because I'm watching what's happening in front of me. And knowing that I can't throw Dickie off, I could have said, hold. I could have just said, we already held at the beginning. We're going to hold again, because this is too much. And what was hard for me is that I could see that of those 99 people, that 50 of them were completely taken out of the play.
Of course.
Stopped hearing anything that I was saying.
Oh, yeah. Anytime.
Could be emotional.
No idea what I was doing.
Can I tell you what the bottom line is? Listen.
This has got to stop. Turn off your phones. Put your phones on silent when you enter a space.
But listen, here's the bottom line. We've been saying this forever. We all know the rules. You turn off your phone. It hasn't gotten any better at all. If anything, it's gotten worse.
Yeah.
The only solution is you have to give them your phone. Because let me tell you, even the Comedy Cellar, but the Comedy Cellar,
it didn't work for Jesse Williams.
I know. Comedy Cellar, you have to put it in a bag. You seal it up. Guess what? People's alarms go off. Happened to me last night. It's in the fucking bag. They can't turn it off.
Yeah.
So now they like wait too long. Then they have to leave. There's no. The only solution is if they looked at everyone's phone. People aren't going to want that. I think the only solution is, sorry, you got to put your phone in this box over here. If you have an emergency, we'll see you over here. We got to make clear. Or it would be funny if they made people put their diabetes thing in a yonder pouch.
Yeah.
But like,
I don't know.
There's or a see-through case so that if someone calls you, you can see it. But like, it's never gonna get better. We've been begging people this for so long, and it is not getting better.
I know, and I've had it happen before, but it's usually like it happens for 15 seconds and then it's over.
Yeah.
This went on sustained for at least 3 minutes.
I'm shocked. I've not had one phone go off the whole time I've been doing Titanic, or I haven't heard one go off.
Yeah, it's hard to hear, over your line delivery. All right, let's go on to our last segment.
You better count your blessings.
You better count your blessings. Russell, give us a blessing.
Yeah, I had some family come to the shows this weekend. My brother and my sister-in-law, and then a couple cousins and my aunt. And it was, they were all I got to see them all on the same day and hang out with them. And it was like, I'm not particularly like overly close with my cousins and my aunt that came, but I had like such a nice time with them, and it felt like they were so supportive. It was so nice of them to come and book a hotel and stay and come see the show, and it just felt like it was a really nice, supportive thing that I was surprised by, and it was a nice. I'm thankful for them for doing that. It was kind.
Wonderful. That's very nice. My blessing. They added these brunch shows to the Comedy Cellar, and you do it on a Sunday, and you get a really good free breakfast. And I went with Tova one time, and again, I'm just not social. I just like did the thing where like people were sitting at the comics table, and like people were hanging out, and I just sat to the side of my laptop, and working. And Tova was like, and looking at porn, and Tova was like, you get in there, get in there. And at the time, I did not take it well. I was not like, that is great advice.
Yeah.
I appreciate it, and I don't feel anxiety about the thing that I already failed. So then the next time, this past Sunday, I got in there, sat down, talked to a bunch of comics. It's not easy for me. It's still it's a struggle. Something in me like fights against it. But I feel like yesterday I ended up doing 5 spots at the Cellar because some people were dropping, and I felt like I really took steps towards just feeling more at home there.
Yeah,
and that's a good. It's a good feeling in this very lonely kind of stand-up comedy world. Ryan, do you have a blessing? And then we'll go into plugs so you can talk about your play.
I know I'm so desperate. I'm just thinking about how the public theater is going to faint if I don't talk about it.
Oh, don't worry.
I have. Well, my blessing is related to the play because we just opened to great reviews, and I have to thank my All Disabled cast, Dickie, Alejandra, and my creative team of brilliant collaborators, led by my director, Jordan Fine, who has been with me on this play for 4 years and pushed me, especially in the depths of the pandemic when all we had was Zoom, to make it better, make it stronger, always pushing the script forward and pushing me forward as an actor. And I'm just very aware that, like, this is not a one-man job. Even if it was a solo show, it wouldn't be a one-man job. It is not a solo show, but it is. There's a lot of people that have poured themselves into 75 minutes of me talking about being horny and me talking about being disabled and my own life experience, which I'm sure comics have their own teams, but I think that when you go out on the road, it's probably just you booking with Delta. And I have...
Just be of my mom's spirit.
I have scenic designers and costume designers and lighting designers and sound designers, and like all of these amazing artists have just like threw themselves into making this beautiful play, and we got a critic's pick, and reviews don't matter unless you get a critic's pick, and then it really matters.
Yeah.
And they run away with it in their marketing. And I'm just really grateful because I hope that it, not only leads to more opportunities for me to tell my stories and do my work, but also is an example for people to, platform disabled artists more and more in theater, in media, in comedy. I just think that we have been devoid of our stories for so long, and often when they're told without us present. And then sometimes even if we're present, it's not through the right kind of lens. And so just understanding that disabled creators know how to tell our own stories, and that this win that me and my team have just experienced, I have hope and gratitude that its reception will open more doors for more people.
Beautiful. Now, tell our listeners, and we'll put it in the show notes as well, all the links. Where can they see this? How can they get tickets? All these things.
Dark Disabled Stories is produced by the Bushwick Star, which is a wonderful, edgy, fantastic incubator of theater in Bushwick, Brooklyn. They are currently in between homes and residential, not residential, but venue. They're between venues. And so they have partnered with the Public Theater, which is historic and needs no introduction, but that is where Hamilton was born. That is where Hair was born, and A Chorus Line, and all these musicals. And we're not making a musical, but it is called Dark Disabled Stories, and it is a series of autobiographical vignettes about my life as a New Yorker with cerebral palsy, and the foibles that happen when truly the entire infrastructure of a city is not built with you in mind. The transportation system is not built with you in mind.
Not at all. I can't even imagine.
Oh my God.
And even sometimes and often, the hookup apps and dating apps are not built with you in mind either.
What's the best one for that?
What?
What's the best app for that pays mind to that? There
are none.
None.
No. Disability is not like thought of on apps at all. But it's a horny show. It's a sexy show. It's a transgressive show. And it has two wonderful performers that are performing alongside me, Dickie and Alejandra. And it's a radically accessible production, which means that there is open captions, there is ASL performance, not interpretation, but performance, and also audio description for blind and low vision people at every show. So this is built into the design, this is built into the architecture, this is built into the script, which means that if you are blind or low vision or deaf or hard of hearing, you can come at any time and see the show and not have to wait for the one performance in a run that is catered to you specifically. And we also have expanded wheelchair seating and mobility seating in the front row. So
now, when that phone went off, did the people not interpreting, but performing, did they let the deaf people know there's a disaster?
No.
Up here
so when I say that's why I qualified it. Dickie, and this is great for me to explain. Thank you for the opportunity. I'm playing Ryan in this play in which it's about Ryan's stories. Dickie is also playing Ryan. So Dickie, who is deaf, is telling my stories in first person.
Ah, very cool.
up until the point in which Dickie becomes Dickie and tells Dickie's story. Alejandra is Alejandra the whole time, tells her own story in the middle of the piece, and is audio describing for everyone. So the access is built into the performance.
I see.
Which also means that, like, yes, there is our assistant stage manager, one of our assistant stage managers is fluent in ASL, and that was purposefully done so that there could be communication on the deck in case of an emergency if something were to happen. But I really do think that when the alarm went off, no one felt it was an emergency enough to stop, including me. I would have been the one to have made the choice to stop it.
Sure.
In which case, there would have been somebody would have come out and informed Dickie that this was happening. But Dickie was in the middle of his performance, in which we are in very sort of lockstep in terms of timing. You know, he'll sign something as I say it and stuff like that. So that's also why I was really conscious of not wanting to throw him off.
Of course, I feel like the deaf people, they go like, that show was fantastic. And the people, friends of those who are not deaf, were like, are you serious? There was a disaster. They really have a fully different experience. So that's interesting where you're like, well, for some people, this show is fine. It
was amazing. Nothing happened. Nothing went wrong. But come and see us, Dark Disabled Stories. You can get tickets at publictheater.org/DDS. That's capital DDS. publictheater.org/DDS.
And it plays until when?
Currently running through April 2nd. We just got our first week extension, and there's more room to extend if ticket sales are strong.
Excellent. Great. What do you want to plug? To the camera. Look at the camera.
Follow me on Instagram at Russell J. Daniels, and come see Titanic at the Jail Raw Theater Tuesday through Sundays.
And for me, listen, this Saturday.
Oh my God.
We are in
Houston, we're coming for you.
Steph Tolev, please come. I've made a whole video promo. That's how desperate I am.
Yes.
Russell is flying far.
Not
short. Not to Connecticut.
No.
Not to Pennsylvania. We're going to Houston. And then we're really excited. We're flying back incredibly early to record an episode with Caleb here on return guest Caleb here. I'm very excited for that. So what I was going to say is go to Houston. Weekend after that, I'm going to be headlining in Louisville at Planet of the Tapes. And then April 11th in Portland, Helium Comedy Club. It's a Tuesday night. So I need all the help I can get. Tell your friends in Portland. Helium. Links in the show notes. And go see Dark Disabled Stories. Go see Titanic, because we all know that theater is dying. This is the downside. 1, 2, 3. Downside.
You're listening to The Downside.
The Downside.
With Gianmarco Soresi.